Oh, hey, how's it going, everybody? It's Michael Boy. I'm here with Read, Remember, Repeat, and we just want to let you guys know, we could be doing something selfish, things for ourselves, right? But we started a charity, and this is very unselfish on our part because what we want to do is give back to the kids, the youth, the orphanage, the homeless, the people that don't have those new ideas because they're stuck in a revolving door. So what we want you guys to do is definitely reach out to us. This is the link right here. Help us save a life. Click the link in bio. Read, remember, repeat.
Today's a new day. Got the booty up in the suitcase. Go uptown to Walton. Tell them that I sent you. That's your host with the most, Michael Mugga Boy. Y'all know who I am. Y'all know what's going on. If you've been watching the show already, you know what I mean? Outwitting the devil. Read, remember, repeat. We are here. You know what I mean? We ain't going nowhere. So we left off yesterday on chapter 8, definiteness of purpose, right? The very beginning of chapter 8, definiteness of purpose, right? And that's when he asked the devil, what are the seven, parts of or principles, to not stay or get out of hypnotic rhythm, right? This book right here is amazing. Cop you one, get you one. You know what I mean? I treat books like I treat feet, right? You got to get a new pair of sneakers, got to get a new book, man. You always got to order a new book. Yeah, man, that's just if you want to take this to another place, you know what I mean? You want to take the mind to another place, you want to take the body to another place, definitely get you some reading on, right? Get you some reading on. Smoke a spliff, do what you got to do, you know what I mean? But definitely get you some reading on. So we left off, and we're going to start off with the chapter, Definiteness of Purpose, right? Chapter 8, Definiteness of Purpose. Your Majesty will now proceed to unfold the secrets of the seven principles through which human beings may force life to provide them with spiritual, mental, and physical freedom. In the rest of the book, stepping out the Q&A, in the rest of the book, Hill discusses these seven principles to attain spiritual, mental, and physical freedom. Definiteness of purpose, mastery over self, learning from adversity, controlling environment influence associations. 5, time, giving permanency to positive rather than negative thought habits and developing wisdom. 6, harmony, acting with definiteness of purpose to become the dominating influence on your own mental, spiritual, and physical environment. And 7, caution, thinking through your plan before you act. Now, back into the Q&A, right? Do not be sparing in your description of these principles. I want a complete illustration of how the principles may be used by anyone who chooses to use them. Tell us all you know about the principle of definiteness of purpose. So this is him now asking the devil to, confess about his the principles of definiteness of purpose, right? But stepping away from the Q&A again, it says the interrogator gains some momentum here and goes for the jugular. Do we have the courage at moments of opportunity to act as aggressively and with definiteness of purpose? Definiteness of purpose. Answer. If you go through with this mad idea, publishing my confession, you will open the gates of hell and turn loose all the precious souls I have collected back down through the ages. You will deprive me of souls yet unborn. You will release from my bondage millions now living. Stop, I beg of you. Question. I open up. Let's hear what you have to say about the principle of definiteness of purpose. Answer. You are pouring water on the fires of hell, but the responsibility is yours, not mine. I may as well tell you that any human being who can be definite in his aims and plans can make life hand over whatever is wanted. Question. That is a broad claim, Your Majesty. Do you wish to tone it down a bit? Answer. Tone it down? No, I wish to tone it up. When you hear what I now have to say, you will understand why the principle of definiteness is so important. My opposition uses a clever little trick to cheat me of my control over people. The opposition knows that definiteness of purpose closes the door of one's mind so tightly against me that I cannot break through unless I can induce one to form the habit of drifting. Question: why doesn't your opposition give your secret to all people by telling them to avoid you through definiteness of purpose? You have already admitted that 2 out of every 100 people belong to your opposition. Answer: because I am more clever than my opposition. I draw people away from definiteness with my promises. You see, I control more people than my opposition because I am a better salesman and a better showman. I attract people by feeding them liberally of the thought habits in which they like to indulge. Question: is definiteness of purpose something with which one must be born, or may it be acquired? Everyone, as I have told, answer: everyone, as I have told you before, is born with the privilege of being definite. But 98 out of every 100 people lose this privilege by sleeping on it. The privilege of definiteness can be maintained only by adopting it as a policy by which one is guided in all the affairs of life. Question: oh, I see. One takes advantage of the principle of definiteness, just as one may build a strong physical body through constant systematic use. Is that it? You have stated the truth clearly and accurately. Question: now I think we are getting somewhere, Your Majesty. We have at long last found the starting point from which all who become self-determined in life must take off. We have discovered from your astounding confession that your greatest asset is man's lack of caution, which enables you to lead him into the jungle of indefiniteness through simple bribes. We have learned beyond the question of doubt that anyone who adopts definiteness of purpose as a policy and uses it in all of his daily experiences cannot be induced to form the habit of drifting. Without the aid of the drifting habit, you are powerless to attract people through promises. Is this correct? Answer: I couldn't have stated the truth more clearly myself. All right, family. The time is running, right? So this is a time thing. Time is important. So we're gonna get to the source part of the show and we'll be right back. Let's get it.
This is what I call unique agitation. See, purpose is an answer to a problem. Therefore, God uniquely agitates you with the problems you've been created to solve. So me and you can walk in the same room and we can see the same problem. It bothers you and it don't bother me. And it bothers you because you've been assigned to do something about it. So the reason David was uniquely agitated with Goliath is because he's assigned to it. And the things that's agitating you are often the things you're anointed for.
Yes, y'all. And we back, y'all. You know what I mean? Back into the Q&A. Let's get it. Let's jump right into it. You know what I mean? Don't want this thing to go to waste. Question: go ahead now and describe how people neglect their privilege of being free and self-determining through indefiniteness and drifting. I have already made brief reference to this principle, but I will now go into more minute details as to how the principle works. I shall have to begin at the time of birth. When a child is born, it brings with it nothing but a physical body representing the evolutionary results of millions of years of ancestry. Its mind is a total blank. When the child reaches the age of consciousness and begins to recognize the objects of its surroundings, it begins also to imitate others. Imitation becomes a fixed habit. Naturally, the child imitates first of all its parents. Then it begins to imitate its other relatives and daily associates, including its religious instructors and school teachers. The imitation extends not merely to physical expression, but also to thought expression. If a child's parent fear me and express that fear within range of the child's hearing, the child picks up the fear through the habit of imitation, and stores it away as part of its subconscious stocks of belief. If the child's religious instructor expresses any form of fear of me, and they all do in one form or another, that fear is added to the similar fear passed to the child by his parents, and the two forms of negative limitations are stored away in the subconscious mind to be drawn upon and used by me later in life. In a similar way, the child learns by imitation to limit its power of thought by filling its mind with envy, hatred, greed, lust, revenge, and all the other negative impulses of thought which destroy all possibility of definiteness. I'm gonna stop right there. I just want to say something, right? So I was talking to my man's son out here, right? And he was like, you know, I got my dad's anger issues and I have huge anxiety. And some of those things are not true all the time, right? You could have picked that up from your parent by imitating them. So you've been watching them and just seeing how they move, and you're like, oh, well, this is the way I'm supposed to act. You know what I mean? You start imitating it. So I can agree with this right here, and this helps me move forward with my thought process because I understand what this is saying, right? So in a similar way, the child learns by imitation to limit its power of thought by filling its mind with envy, hatred, greed, lust, revenge, and all the other negative impulses of thought, which destroy all possibility of definiteness. Meanwhile, I move in and induce the child to drift until I bind its mind through hypnotic rhythm. You ever heard somebody say, you act just like your mom, or you act just like your dad, right? That right there is basically something that you've been started from when you was younger. So when you first was a little seed infant, you started to watch them and imitate them, and that's how far it took you in life to where you got older. You know what I mean? That's crazy. You could change all of that. You know what I mean? Not saying that our parents or anybody's bad people, but you could change these things. But some of it you can't unless you're aware of it. Question. Am I to understand from your remarks that you have to gain control of people while they are very young or lose your opportunity at them altogether? Answer. I prefer to claim them before they come into possession of their own minds. Once any person learns the power of his own thoughts, he becomes positive and difficult to subdue. As a matter of fact, I cannot control any human being who discovers and uses the principle of definiteness. Question. Is that habit of definiteness a permanent protection against your control? Answer. No, not by any means. Definiteness closes the door of one's mind to me only as long as the person follows the principle as a matter of policy. Once any person hesitates, procrastinates, or becomes indefinite about anything, he is just one step removed from my control. Step away from the Q&A. Says the devil, once any person hesitates, procrastinates, or becomes indefinite about anything, he is just one step removed from my control. The metaphysical and spiritual aspects of the author philosopher are on display in these responses by the devil. What he calls definiteness is today often called intention, or being goal-driven or purpose-driven, right? So if you got things that you want to do, right, and you want to do it, you got to act fast, right? Because if not, you're going to end up drifting. And then once you start drifting, what's going to happen is it'll get snatched from you. Or it'll just be sitting there getting rotten, you know what I mean? Like some old meat or something. So you got to act on things fast when you get that idea. Question. What has definiteness to do with one's material circumstances? I want to know if one may acquire power through definiteness of purpose without inviting destruction through the law of compensation. Answer. Your question limits my illustrations because there are so few people in the world who understand, and there have been a few in the past who understood how to use definiteness of purpose without attracting to themselves the negative application of the law of compensation. Here you are forcing me to disclose one of my most prized tricks. I am bound to tell you that I eventually reclaim for my cause all who escaped me temporarily through definiteness of purpose. The reclamation is made by filling the mind with greed for power and the love of egotistical expression. Until the individual falls into the habit of violating the rights of others, then I step in with the law of compensation and reclaim my victim. Family, we're going to leave this one for when we get back tonight. And I want y'all to think about that, man. Think about definiteness of purpose. You don't have to, sometimes you can listen to the audio book. You don't have to read all the time. But if you go back to my first episodes and I was reading, I used to stutter a lot. I used to mess the words up a lot. But my reading is actually getting better. So reading is actually helping my mental. But that's something for a whole nother day. And this, you know what I mean? This is the part of the show where I'm gonna say, see y'all tonight, and read, remember, repeat. Let's get it. Gang.